Welcome into the PFF NFL podcast. Steve Palazzolo, Sam Monson, coming to you from Cincinnati. But next week, coming at you live in Indianapolis, Thursday night, February 27th at Tin Roof. That's right, the PFF live show is really happening, Sam.
Yeah, but it's only going to be live if you're there.
Oh, yeah. It's not like here.
No.
Or on
if you're
YouTube.
Listening.
You have to go there.
Yes.
You got to go there. So if you're going to be in and around Indianapolis or the surrounding states, be sure to get there. Indianapolis, Tin Roof, 7 to 9 p.m., and we'll be there. The guest list is coming together. Do we have enough confirmed yet, or do we have to wait until next week to, really...
I mean, we've got some good guests. We have local superstar, I think, got confirmed. Let's just not use the name, just in case. But
a local superstar.
Local superstar confirmed. A couple of other big names confirmed. A few more feelers still out there waiting for last minute. See, the thing with the Combine in Indy is nobody has any idea what their schedule is yet, including the NFL.
Yeah, right.
They for some reason, they were able to sketch out, when everybody's showing, workouts and all this kind of stuff. But beyond that, don't seem to have any clue how things are working.
None of their talent have any idea.
Right. Credentials is a mess. None of the talent knows what the thing looks like. Neither do any of the big networks. So everybody's like, yeah, sure. I mean, I'd like to do it. I don't know if I can yet, but... So some of it is up in the air until next week. But
it's touch and go. It's going to be great, though.
The ones that have confirmed are worth showing up for.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun on the stage. Sam and I and all the PFF guys. Eric will be there. George will be there. Mike Renner will be there, ladies. So go check out Mike, right? No?
Okay.
I figured that's a good selling point. Mike Renner.
Fair enough.
For our 2% that are female listening audience.
Huh. All right.
No? Don't go there, even? On today's show, we're talking coverage, Sam.
Yeah.
We're talking about the NFL draft cornerbacks, and I want to do a special little discussion on Isaiah Simmons, the do-everything linebacker slash safety slash everything else in that Clemson defense. So we'll talk about him, potential first-round pick. Sound good?
Okay.
Before we get to Isaiah Simmons, though, tell us about our friends at Mint Mobile, Sam.
Okay. Mint Mobile. Sponsor of the PFF podcast, or whatever we call this thing now, the PFF NFL show.
I just threw it on you.
Yeah, you
it's
did.
The NFL podcast, really.
Is it the NFL?
This is still wrong.
What? Well, whatever it is, the PFF NFL podcast show thing with.
We could fix this
with Sam and Steve.
Sam and Steve.
Yes. So Mint Mobile, basically, we're all getting screwed by regular wireless providers. And the reason we're getting screwed is because they're paying for giant things that are completely archaic in today's world. Stores, for example. When was the last time you actually went into a store to buy anything of consequence that wasn't coffee?
No, that's all I buy is coffee.
Right.
That's it.
Other than that, you get it all online. So, Mint Mobile makes it easy to cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month. 15.
What?
1-5. Every plan comes with unlimited nationwide talk and text. Stop paying for unlimited data you'll never use. Choose between plans with 3, 8, or 12 gigabytes of 4G LTE data. Effectively, they are cutting out the middleman, dumping all the bricks and mortar stores, and passing the savings directly onto you. So to get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, where it comes in a nice fancy little packet, looks very good, go to mintmobile.com/PFF. That's mintmobile.com/PFF. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/PFF. Save a fortune, keep your current number, all of the goodies with none of the hassle.
I enjoy the savings.
Yes. Also,
I go to dinner with my wife instead of paying for a cell phone.
It's effectively the same thing as well, right? It's not like there's some fly-by-night, they've got their own ham radio up here operating the signal. They just, they buy time off other networks and just sell it to you at a much cheaper price.
So they're legit.
Yes.
That's what
legit.
That's the point we're trying to get across. So check it out. Where is it? mintmobile.com/PFF.
Yes.
Go check it out right now. All right, let's get into Isaiah Simmons. He does it all, or did it all, for Clemson. We ground his film. It was ground. Also, Dr. Eager, just so you guys know a lot of what's happening behind the scenes here at PFF, we've had this college data for years. We've had the NFL data for years, and you guys know the PFF forecast. Eric Eager, George Shahuri, both guys, the first two guys we really brought in here to play around with the data and make sense of it and figure out what the most important things are. College to pro projections and actually putting some numbers to what college players will be at the NFL level, and not just in a vacuum, in ways where you could say, what if I try him at linebacker? What if I blitz him a lot? What if he plays in a cover 2 scheme versus a man scheme? All of that stuff is rolled in, and this is the stuff we're building mostly behind the scenes for NFL teams to continue to use, but, giving snippets of that to the public. So Eric did a great job showing an Isaiah Simmons projection and where would you use him at the next level, and what if you used him as a linebacker / safety / whatever. So he did a really nice job breaking that down this week with some pretty favorable comparisons and Isaiah Simmons projections for the next level.
So what were his conclusions?
Essentially, I think you want to get as many safety snaps from him as possible because they're a little bit more valuable, but you could use him all over the place, and he'll be a very good coverage defender and a pretty good run defender, which leads to, let me get the actual comparisons that he pulled up here, but leads to a very valuable player at the next level. And what did you like or not like or see on film?
It's interesting. The thing that I liked the most was actually how Clemson were using him. It was less about him as the player and more about that they were just willing to line him up legitimately all over the place, seemingly at random, or at the very least, he was the thing that let them do whatever it is they wanted on a specific game plan. So one game he'd be covering the slot a lot of the time. Another game he's playing like linebacker in the box a lot of the time. Another game he's like lining up deep off, as a free safety, whether he was actually staying at free safety or whether he was then jumping down into the box.
I loved all of that.
Right. So I like the fact that he became the fulcrum around which all of that defense function and all the coverages function. And the amount of plays where you're looking at it and you're like, what the hell is that coverage?
That was what boggled my mind. Most of the time, colleges always have some funky coverages because of the wide hash marks and all that stuff. But a lot of time when Isaiah Simmons is out there and you're just watching him and then you're watching the big picture, it wasn't that clear what they were playing. There was a lot of looks that were quarters looks, again, where the safeties there are playing a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, but they're more split. It's like a split safety view, and they're going to match up with anybody that runs vertically, at them, essentially, just to keep it simple for everybody. But it wasn't always that clean because they would lean one way, lean the other way. It looked like he was playing free safety, but he was really more of a quarter safety. And again, he would start in that same alignment, and they'd run quarters where he would man up with somebody in his area, or they would play cover 2 where he would drop down and essentially play like the middle linebacker from the same look.
Yeah.
And they had exotic blitzes coming off of it. I mean, just so many unique looks, and it was because Simmons could fill all these roles.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I liked the most was it was more what Clemson were doing because of him than anything he was doing individually. And it's what makes me a little bit leery about him as an NFL player, because I suspect the NFL just is not that imaginative. And he's going to hit the NFL, and we're going to be talking about this incredible Swiss Army knife of a defender who can do everything, who can line up everywhere, look at all the things Clemson were doing, and then he's going to go somewhere and they're just going to play him as a strong safety.
You know what? I don't mind that, though. So when the tough thing about it is he didn't have a 90-plus grade, right? So as excellent as he is as a player and what he's able to do, our grade is just saying play for play. Did you do your job well? Did you do it not so well? His overall grade was like mid-high 80s, right? So where were the negatives? There was a lot of coverage busts in there.
Yeah.
Losing contain against the run. Simply not covering the guy in the flat that he's supposed to be covering. So there was a lot of...
And how much of that is because of all the craziness they're doing?
So that's my point. So is it because he's got to learn 7 positions in different roles? And they're not really different positions. They're alignments, really. Because he has to learn all these different things, and it's tough. So do you actually want a guy that does a whole bunch of different things, or do you want a guy who's, if he just played the Cam Chancellor strong safety role, the Keanu O'Neal, that cover 3, it's the strong safety in that cover 3 scheme where they work down, they play with a little bit of depth. They're working in the box mostly, so they have to be really good at underneath zone as a strong safety in that scheme. Got to play the run, blitz every now and again, rush the passer every now and again, man up against tight ends, maybe some slots here and there. But mostly you're a zone defender using great range, eyes on the quarterback, that type of thing. I feel like that might be his best role. Maybe the overhang.
It feels like it's wasting the versatility if you're doing that. It's Like, if you're not going to actually take advantage of that by creating, like, so it's like Lamar Jackson or Taysom Hill, right? If you're not going to take advantage of the fact that they are unique in terms of what they can do, like, what's the point?
Yeah, well, then a team better tap into that.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
Ken tells me we're getting mixed comments on the sweater that I'm wearing today.
it's colorful.
It is.
It's colorful.
It's very colorful.
Mine's pretty bland.
Yeah, yours sucks.
Why do you have me? What do you mean?
Well, look at it.
It's just straightforward.
Yeah.
We're not.
We got all kinds of colors going on here.
We're not rocking our friends from Proper Cloth at the moment.
Not today.
We're in between.
I don't understand how there could be mixed comments. I mean, what's not to like?
Well, let me get to the comment section and I'll read it.
Okay.
Let's see what happens here. Tell me more about Isaiah Simmons and what. So the other thing he can do is he gets after the quarterback pretty well.
His closing bursts, like in a straight line, is pretty impressive.
This guy says, I love Isaiah Simmons.
Well, that's okay. Sure.
Who's who? The holy grail of who's who. This guy doesn't know who Isaiah Simmons is. It's the Clemson player.
Yes.
Clemens. Sam rocking that dope-ass sweater.
There we go.
There's one take.
Uh-huh. That's good enough for me. That's all I
Peter
need.
King must be here. This says meow.
Huh.
Trevor Hernandez says, what is he wearing? And he's laughing at you.
I'm wearing a pretty cool sweater.
And this guy says, it's European.
It's European. It's not. It's Gant.
Reminds me of the Armenian flag.
What?
This guy says, that sweater is A+++. This guy's loving the sweater,
There you go.
but he's disappointed
By
not
me?
to see the proper cloth.
Oh.
A lot of nice. You actually have a lot of comments on it.
Yeah.
This says, I think it's a nice sweater. That might be in reference to mine.
I might be. It isn't, but it might be.
I like it. It's pretty good. Gators colors right here. Let's go Gators right in the middle.
Yeah.
Anyway, Isaiah Simmons, as a rusher, he did most of his work as a blitzer. Now, he has that long body type and the explosion that kind of looks like an undersized edge rusher. But I feel like I have to say this every draft season. You don't take a linebacker and a safety and just make him rush the passer. Like, those are two completely different skill sets. There's only one person I've ever seen go from linebacker to edge rusher, and that's Ahmad Brooks, who played inside linebacker at Virginia. I mean, this is like 2004 when he was in college. Goes from inside linebacker to edge rusher for the 49ers. It just doesn't happen.
And they started him at inside. Like
Right.
outside linebacker, edge rusher was like the fallback plan of
Right.
This guy's too good an athlete to be this bad.
He used
Let's
to
try and
return
get something
kicks.
out of him.
He was a linebacker who returned kicks.
Yeah,
for
remember
Virginia.
he was one of those guys who in college had one of those famous plays where he like leapt over the line and either tackled somebody or blocked a kick or did something crazy.
He might have been a good Isaiah Simmons comp. But my point is, this guy is a blitzer, not a pass rusher. A blitzer is a guy that either you're going to isolate one-on-one with a backer or he's going to come unblocked through the line. He's not going to line up one-on-one against a tackle, 20, 25 times a game. Maybe every now and again, depending on the play call. But that's more of like an added part of his game. You mentioned the closing burst. I love how he plays close to the line of scrimmage, though. Eyes on the quarterback, tracks down scrambling quarterbacks extremely well. I think he's a weapon if you're facing a scrambling quarterback, a Mahomes, a Lamar, anybody that you think is going to get outside the pocket.
My Spanish doesn't exist. It's basically non-existent.
I took 5 years. I'll help you.
There you go. What's that guy's name? Santiago Terrones?
Terrones.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's asking which defensive scheme / coach would make the best use of Simmons. Honestly, I would love to see him not as a safety, but actually as a linebacker in Baltimore's defense.
Well, so this was the next point I was going to make, right? I wrote that whole article back about Baltimore's defense playing positionless football, right? And yes, Baltimore would use him extremely well because they've got safeties playing linebacker. They're blitzing like crazy. And I think teams that embrace this positionless football where you're not just a safety, you're not just a linebacker, this week or this particular play, you're covering a tight end. Now you're playing a short zone. Now you're blitzing. Now you're playing deep cover 2, whatever it is. Teams that are creative in that way, Baltimore is leading the pack, I would say, in that level of creativity. So absolutely. Now they're not going to get him, but I would love to see that fit. I also think all of the Belichick disciples, even though overall they play mostly man, would use him pretty well. They would play a lot of man coverage with him against tight ends, maybe big slot receivers, and then all of the Belichick tree, whether it's Detroit and Matt Patricia, Miami, Brian Flores. I don't know what Joe Judge probably isn't taking all of their defensive principles. He might be. But, yeah, the Giants would use him pretty well.
Have you seen this?
No.
The PFF big board is now on the website as a lab. What the hell are these rankings lists?
It is
page thing. If you go, so this is not even out yet properly, right? This is what's called a soft launch, which we're going to stomp all over by dropping it live in the podcast. If you go to pff.com/draft/big-board.
Hold on, where am I going? pff.com
/draft
Yep.
/big-board.
Big board.
There you go.
Wow, this is glorious.
You get the 2020 NFL Draft Big Board in fancy rankings page form.
They have the slim, normal, and thick view there, too?
They have slim, normal, and thick double C view of PFF's Big Board. How far do we go up on this thing at the moment?
Probably 101.
Right. 2 pages is probably top 50 at the moment.
Wow.
Anyway, this is like, this is one of the things we're working on.
Top 26.
Okay, 26. One of the things we're working on at the moment is these rankings pages that look cool. They give a lot of data. They, frankly, are a hell of a lot prettier than us just throwing an article up there. So the big board is up on the website. Go check it out.
And the guy we're talking about right now, Isaiah Simmons, number 7.
7.
6'4", 230, career coverage grade of 93. And yes, his overall grades the last 2 years, high 80s, 88.5 and 88.9, all of that apart. Now, I think, do you need to be an elite subscriber to get some of the grades and information here? I think there's some sort of...
Log out and tell me.
I'm not going to log out. But there's some sort... Go check it out. And then if you don't have access to it, well, sign up. pff.com/draft/big-board. Go and check it out right now. Anything else to put a bow on Isaiah Simmons?
No, I believe all the information in there is available for free.
Do you know what Isaiah Simmons is, Sam?
He's a football player for Clemson.
Do you know what he really is for the NFL?
Oh, no.
He's the perfect package.
Huh. Where are you going with that?
The perfect package 3.0, Sam.
I see.
Manscaped. If you're listening to the podcast right now, I want you to take a second and look down. When was the last time you shaved your junk? It's been a while. Don't lie, Sam.
Are we going to ask everybody on the live show if they've shaved their nuts recently?
It depends if Manscaped is ready to pony up to sponsor the live show.
Excuse me, Mr. NFL coach, when was the last time you shaved your balls?
Can we interest you in a Manscaped 3.0? A little perfect package 3.0. Let's take a second to thank our sponsor, Manscaped, for holding you accountable to get rid of the funk and shave your junk. Thank you, Manscaped. It's the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene. And here it is, the Perfect Package 3.0. The kit comes with the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0, waterproof, cordless body trimmer, and a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your manscaping routine.
Don't forget the light. It's got a light. You can see what you're doing.
Yeah, you could shave in the dark if you need to. Reminds me of my vacuum cleaner. It's got a nice light on it.
Okay.
Don't even need the lights on. It's great.
Plus, turbocharge that baby to 7,000 RPM. It'll buzz right through it.
Do you have a comparable for 7,000 RPM?
Well, my car redlines, I think, around 7,000 RPM. My car has 400 plus horsepower, and it redlines around 7,000 RPM, which is exactly the same speed as the what the hell is this thing called?
The what?
The Lawnmower 3.0.
Take Sam's car to your nuts with the Lawnmower 3.0.
Look, you could either buy yourself a 6.2-liter Chevy Camaro or a Lawnmower 3.0 and buzz your nuts with it.
So this third-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent those pesky manscaping accidents.
Yeah, pesky.
Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin-safe technology. Of course, you also get the crop preserver, the anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. You already put your deodorant on your armpits, right?
I do.
So why not make your balls smell good as well?
Why not?
So when you purchase the new Perfect Package 3.0 kit at manscaped.com, you get the biggest bang for your buck. That's it. That's the truth. Manscaped.com, the promo code's PFF. You'll get 20% off plus free shipping. 20% off, free shipping. Promo code's PFF. Manscaped with a D at the end. .com.
They've also got some pretty cool, more conventional, gift items, if you like. Like the wash bag is pretty cool. It comes with like a little leather grooming kit thing, like scissors and tweezers and all that kind of stuff. But the thing, it's like a leather model zip bag. That's really nice. Like,
do you know what else you get?
Brought that with us to Miami.
This is new.
Oh yeah.
For a limited time, subscribers get not one but 2 free gifts. You get the Shed travel bag. Yes.
That sounds like what I was just describing.
I know, but I'm selling it even more.
Okay,
and the patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped boxer briefs. Did you mention the boxer briefs?
I didn't mention the boxer briefs.
Okay, so both of those things, $39 value at the bag, plus the boxer briefs. Perfect package, 3.0. Get 20% off, plus free shipping. Promo codes PFF at manscaped.com. Your partner, your body, and your balls will thank you.
They will. I'm sure they will.
Doesn't that remind you of Isaiah Simmons?
No.
I think does it all.
Doesn't. Not in any way, shape, or form.
That was a perfect segue and transition. I think I did well.
You beautifully.
You want to talk some corners?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
NFL draft corners. Now, this is...
None of these people are like ball deodorant.
You sure?
I don't
We
think
could make
so.
some comparisons.
I can't think of any that immediately spring to mind as
It's like...
ball deodorant or nut
I mean,
trimmers.
Jeffrey Okudah, he's like generally there, generally does the job, but every now and again he's just completely out of position.
So what's that?
Sometimes there's a bad accident on the field.
He's like another brand.
Another
landscaper?
brand. Yeah. When he makes the mistake, it reminds me of
Nicking
other
your balls.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's no
I
comparison.
don't think this is going to work.
All right, let's discuss corners. This is kind of like your baby here. When we scout corners, for me it's quarterbacks, for you it's cornerbacks.
Hey, see, more feedback. My sweater.
Which is what?
Benjamin Stockwell.
What did
That
he
is
say?
a stunning sweater, Monson.
Stunning.
Stunning.
What does Ben know?
Oh, he knows good sweaters, apparently.
It's like 9 o'clock. He's probably half asleep at home right now.
Also, he doesn't have good eyes, but that doesn't help.
He's had like many eye surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if he had one recently, then I'm sure they're in tip-top shape, and he's able to recognize the majesty of this sweater.
No. What would Jameis's LASIK say about your sweater?
I don't know, but he'd be throwing a pass at it.
He'd say, "You look like a linebacker. Here, catch."
Well, either way, I'm wearing a color he's going to want to throw to.
That's a good point. Every team color's on there. So cornerback's your baby, and give us your credentials. Let's hear it. Why are you able to evaluate corners?
What?
Give me you can brag about your Irish football career now.
Well, that's the reason.
Look, I played corner a couple snaps. I lost a step, got moved to safety. This is your position. It's what you do.
Huh.
Gave up a bomb to me a couple summers ago.
Look,
but
you can't bring that up as if you had really anything to do with it. Like, one,
got by you.
few different things at play
Stacked
here.
you.
You did not stack me.
I ran 2 routes on you. I was open both times. I dropped one of them. Open both times.
That was very questionable, the first one. So a few different things at play here. One, this was back when I hadn't actually done any exercise whatsoever, and I had all the pace of a decrepit rhino, i.e. you. I'm now significantly faster than that, just from the basketball, work. I got a bit of speed back. So, we're talking about a different level of competition now. 2, there was no stacking involved. 3, look, you're 9 foot tall, right? You've got the length advantage here. So much like when we play basketball, I'm like, I can't play you the way I would play a normal sized human being. I have to work I have to play through the hands here because there's no way I'm getting to the ball. So I got to play through the hands. So one of the things in order to do that, you have to wait for the hands to go up so you can then play through them. Most people, when they're going to catch a ball, as they're running along, they wait until the last possible moment to put their hands up and catch it because they know cornerback's going to play through the hands. You stick your hand up like 15 yards before the ball arrives and are just running down the field with these 2 giant arms up here like this.
Sam.
So for like 5 seconds, I'm running alongside you, waiting for the ball to drop into these ridiculous puppet arms you've got flailing in the air. Yeah, it's perfect.
Do that again so I can watch it on the replay.
This is you.
I
Just
can't
running
wait,
down the field
I can't
like
wait
that.
to see it on delay.
Yeah,
Look,
there you go.
This is you.
No, it's going to come up again.
There's another one.
Yeah, there's another one.
We work here at PFF, Sam.
And then
where
the last
getting the
point,
job done is there it is. The most important thing.
The last point is that Zach Robinson, former NFL quarterback and current coach somewhere in the NFL,
Rams,
then drops in a plus 1.5 pass right into the idiot bucket that you're creating as you run down the field.
I give him a nice big target to throw to, and I was open.
You were not open.
I was open.
That was a perfect throw into tight coverage.
You were on my hip behind me.
No.
Behind me.
That was a perfect
You
throw
were not in phase. Had you been in phase, you could have played through my hands. You were not.
I was entirely in phase.
It was a +1
with these
catch and
goofy
run.
hands.
Then I ran away for a touchdown. You stopped playing.
That's not true.
We work here at PFF where technique doesn't matter, just getting the job done.
Also,
matters.
you always forget to mention that when we then flipped it and I went offense, I ran a post and you weren't within like 15 yards of me.
I'm not a defensive player.
Oh, I see.
I'm an offensive weapon.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk corners in this draft. Just looking at the draft board, there's like 7 or 8 in our top 50. Again, when you see the PFF draft board compared to others, it's going to be pass game heavy, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to have a running back probably in our top, definitely not in our top 32, probably not in our top 50, not going to have a whole bunch of road grading guards ranked all that high, but you're going to see guys that affect the pass game. So we might have corner inflated a little bit compared to other draft boards, but this is a nice little group of corners in this class, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it is. It's a good group. There's a lot of talent in there. There's some interesting prospects, but it also has like one clear superstar at the top of it.
Who is it? Let us know.
Well, so one of us is going to need to add the follow-up to his name. You want to handle that?
Yes.
I'll say, okay. So it's Jeffrey Okudah.
Matata.
There you go. Perfect. Ohio State cornerback. Another in the long line of Ohio State cornerbacks that seem to chunk out a first-rounder every single year.
They're just all good.
But he does look to be the most complete corner in this class. He doesn't seem to have any flaws to speak of. He's good at everything. He's fast. He's got athleticism. He's got the sort of smooth transition in all of his movements. And you add into all that he has the production. Like, he basically just didn't get beat ever.
I loved his footwork, as you mentioned. Like, when you see a guy, you like to see corners cover all the short and intermediate routes. That's where you get a chance to see just how well they're able to read receivers, react to the ball, and all that stuff. He is so smooth in and out of breaks, back pedal, all of that stuff. When you watch, we can sort out the plays because of all the PFF data. We can sort all the plays by his best plays, his worst plays, whatever it might be. When you're watching his best plays, like the first 6 are him just flying up and making a tackle in the flat. So that always stands out to me. Guy that knows how to play the underneath stuff. It seems simple, but when you see how quickly he closes on the ball, he's got the speed, he's got the transition skills. Like I said, I do like him quite a bit. So you agree? Clear?
Yeah.
A clear top guy here? What about some of those negative plays we were looking at with him? He just seems to, the way I described it, does he lose, we were asking ourselves, does he lose a little spatial awareness when he's got his eyes on the quarterback? There were multiple plays where there's some sort of route concept happening in front of him, and he's like just sitting there.
Yeah, I
not
think
doing anything.
There's a little bit of that. It seemed to be that when he actually started to focus on the quarterback, knowing that the ball was going to come out at some point, he didn't have that Richard Sherman-like ability. So you watch Sherman play, if you watch just him, he's basically got his eyes on the quarterback the entire time. And he covers, like he reacts to the routes in front of him basically out of his peripheral vision. Like he's literally
really
looking right in at the quarterback, and then he sees the receiver run at him and release into his cushion and all that kind of stuff, basically out of the corner of his eye. He's not actually looking at that guy at all, but he's able to move with that and flow with it without looking at it at all. Okudah seems to have the opposite. Like if he dialed in on the quarterback, he seemed to sort of zone in and get blinkers and lose what was going on around him and just kind of got lost in space. I think that's probably something you can work on. Like that Ohio State scheme focuses more on the man coverage than that zone stuff. So I think you will get better at that.
He played a lot off, too, in their system. Had that one play at free safety.
Sort of.
Kind of. He had to line up at free safety, and he made it to the opposite sideline to make a play on the ball.
Yeah.
I thought that was fine. So Okudah, the top guy, he's number 4 on our draft board as of right now. I don't anticipate that moving anywhere. I think. Do you have a guesstimate as to how fast he would run, or he'll run in the 40? Yeah, he's not like I don't think he's a 4.3 guy.
No,
I don't think he's 4.5.
Yeah,
sounds like 4.4s, right? Number 10 on our board is Christian Fulton from LSU. Multiple years of good grading, 88 and then 84.7 this past year. And he looked like Renner was on him last year. He didn't come out. He actually outplayed Greedy Williams in 2018. had a lot of off-field issues, but he's been the highest graded cornerback in the SEC by our numbers over the last 2 years.
Yeah, his grade is pretty absurd. I think he's got the highest grade over 2 years of any of this group, when you add them up. He, as a corner he doesn't seem to have really any flaws, but gets beaten a little bit more than you want. You know what I mean? It's hard.
I noticed he got beat mostly in breakers. What'd you think? I mean,
yeah,
I know the numbers also back that up too, but
it was hard to dial in to a specific reason for it. Like, there was nothing you could look at and say, all right, that's the reason he's losing all these plays. It's just like he seems to have everything you want. The complete toolbox is there, but he just lost more often than you want.
Yeah. I think he's like Okuda as far as the footwork and quickness goes. Like, I think there's a lot of guys in this class where I don't think that's an issue. You know, they have this baseline ability to just move and stick with receivers. I do think he did a better job than Okuda with his footwork and off coverage. Like, his eyes were, tied to his movement, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And he could see the ball, he could play the ball, break on it, see the play, and just everything was kind of tied together. I just saw him on in breakers, slants and ins, actually had a 58 grade on those plays, and he got out-muscled a couple times. Just got choked up.
Huh.
Got out-muscled a little bit by. No.
Because you do that every now and again.
I didn't fill up my water, and I knew I might need it today.
Oh, no.
We're the interns. Interns, I need water.
Did you tell everybody about your medical emergency? You nearly lost a leg last night.
Thank God I'm still here. Both legs.
You played hurt yesterday on the basketball court.
I played through injury.
And it was one of the most sad and depressing things I've ever seen in my life.
It was my Willis Reed coming out of the locker room, banged up moment. Look it up.
No. I'll tell you what it was like, though. You want to know what it reminded me of?
What?
So, you ever see like a wildlife program where, there's been, somewhere along in the savannah, right, this like giraffe has been attacked by a herd of lions and it's escaped. But now it's gimpy, right? And it's done for because it can't like eat.
I remind you of a gimpy giraffe.
Pretty much, yeah. So maybe it's not the giraffe. Maybe it's more maybe you're the predator in this situation. So you're a lion that was in a battle, right, with another lion or attacked some kind of horned prey, right? The buffalo or whatever it is in this case jabbed you in the knee. So now you're this gimpy lion kind of walking around, and you know that this guy's done because he can't hunt anymore, so he can't eat. So he's just like 3 weeks away from starving to death in the savannah. That was you.
So you were all good up until the point where you think I'm going to die.
You take like 2 steps, and then you just be like, ugh.
Do you think the gimpy lion could have dropped 32 points, 15 boards, 7 assists, and 6 blocks?
Against the 4'8" guy that thought he could muscle up with you in the post, yes.
I dominated yesterday. Cincy Y has not seen a performance that good since Eric Eager hit 8 threes and then blew out his calf. Domination at the Cincy Y. And the other dude on the other team was talking, which made me get us out to a 19-2 lead.
I think you were handed a very favorable matchup by the idiocy of the team that was playing us.
Yeah, well,
like they had a
that's
guy.
What he gets for talking, saying he could cover me.
They had a guy that specifically called you out as somebody he needed to be one-on-one with. And that guy was what? Let's say 5'7", maybe?
He was tall. He was like at least 6 feet.
No, he was shorter than me, like significantly shorter than me.
He was the widest guy out there.
He was wide, but he was shorter than I am, and I'm 5'11". Yeah. So at the very maximum, he was like 5'9", right? And the 5'9" guy called you out as somebody he needed to match up with down low in the post.
Yeah, it seems like a stupid move.
It's a really stupid move, particularly when one of the guys on his team has actually proven in the past that he can do a reasonable job covering you down there.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's physical.
Right.
Makes some plays.
So instead, they let that guy cover me, and the short guy covered you and lost bad.
I played through injury.
You did.
I'm feeling better now. It started to feel better as it loosened up. My wife thought maybe I had a blood clot. We got that checked out.
Yeah.
Just to be safe. Just, better safe than sorry.
Ken's in here telling us to get back on topic. Does he have any idea what this podcast is?
Yeah, we don't have topics.
Look, if you don't...
Who wants us back on topic?
If you don't pipe down in there, we won't get back on topic for the rest of the show.
Everybody in the YouTube comments is talking to us and responded to this.
In a good or a bad way?
I glanced at it. Somebody's talking about a lioness or something. I think they're trying to, help your analogy.
Yeah, it was half formed really when I was thinking it through. I didn't.
Maybe
I need to.
Maybe our viewers will help tie it together. Are people leaving?
I needed
No,
a little bit more time.
It's higher than ever.
To flesh it out.
The people are coming in. All right, let's get to the next corners. Number 19 on the entire draft board is Trevon Diggs out of Alabama. I like the way Mike describes him.
Okay.
Diggs has that pterodactyl build you love to see at the cornerback position because he's listed at 6'2", 207. Long frame.
Has Mike been reading a little bit too much Lance Zierlein?
Lance has some good ones.
The pterodactyl build you love to see at the position?
Plays through a straw with tight skin.
So that's just
real. Those are scouting terms.
Apparently.
So Diggs is another guy that we're saying.
Pterodactyl build is a scouting term.
No, but he's long. He's got some length.
Yeah.
That's the point. 6'2", and all those teams that covet size. Again, assuming the arm length is up at that 32+ range, which it looks like it will be. Diggs will be coveted by those teams.
He has this weird way. You know the way we talked about CeeDee Lamb. It never looked fast.
Yeah.
And it just looked sort of lethargic and slightly slow, and yet somehow it worked and he plays past people.
Yep.
There's something of that to Trevon Diggs as well, where it just looks sort of lazy and slow. But I don't think it's the same thing. I think he almost plays with this like complacency and laziness until he has to snap and turn it on, and then he'll like burst to the ball or whatever. But there's so much to his game where lazy is the wrong word because it's it's a pejorative really, and it's got these negative connotations to it. But he plays with this just sort of easy,
lack of urgency,
like unconcerned
lack of
air about him that these guys. So you see it a lot of times when he's up in press coverage at the line, and receivers are trying to go all these quick moves and jab and trying to get him out, and he's just, all right, I'm just going to wait until you've done it.
That's patience.
Yeah,
I describe that as patience.
Sure. I don't think that's necessarily what it is, though.
What you're describing is patience. I think that's different from a lack of urgency, I would say.
It's just it's just a strange, relaxed way of playing that I don't see in many other corners.
Yeah, he had a good year at Alabama after being more of a part-time player in previous years. 90.1 coverage grade, forced an incompletion over 20% of his targets, allowed only 39% completions into his coverage. Now, the other number I like to add context to that, 17 drops or overthrows on that incompletion percentage. So that's a factor. Sometimes you kind of help force the overthrow with tight coverage. Other times you just kind of get lucky, but it just kind of helps adding a little bit of context there. But the numbers are good, and I think all the Bama corners generally play with slightly different technique as well, kind of like a shuffle technique when they're playing off. There's always like a little bit of a transition, and they always transition at different times in their career. Marlon Humphrey, transitioned pretty well. A guy like Kareem Jackson, I think, took a longer time. I mean, through the years, you've seen varying degrees of when Alabama corners get it at the next level.
And given his size, I could also see teams thinking about him as a safety.
And, do you think his speed's all right? Or do you think that's, his safety's in play in general just because of that?
No, I think he's got speed.
Yeah. All right, so he's the number 3 corner on the list. C.J. Henderson from Florida, another SEC guy, listed at 6'1", 191, only played 492 snaps last year, battled through injuries, and the tape wasn't great, but 80-plus grade in 2018 as a sophomore, allowed only 18 catches that entire season. Our ranking of him's based far more on sophomore tape than it is junior tape, but he's kind of a tools guy that, teams are going to like.
Yeah. He's got really good movement skills. You watch him play even just for a snap or two, and you see that it's there.
I feel like the cornerback position has gotten better in that regard. I feel like there used to be more of a drop-off between guys that can move well. I don't know if teams are starting to, colleges go through different phases where they're putting guys, there's a lot of guys when they come out of high school, they're either wide receivers or corners or safeties or whatever, and they're kind of at the mercy of the college team to put them wherever. Are we seeing a lot more good athletes playing corner, saying, hey, look, there's a million good receivers out there. I want to play corner. I want to stick out because I could be a first rounder. There's a reason why these guys are up here. They all have good size and movement skills. If you had that option coming out of high school, would you try to lean to the defensive side of the ball because of scarcity?
I don't know if it's scarcity, but they're also getting paid now. I mean, top tier corners get big money in a way that they didn't necessarily used to.
All right, who's after Henderson here?
It's the Utah kid, right?
Oh, yeah, Jalen Johnson. Sorry, I lost the other The page you put me on only goes up to the top 26. I got our top 100 pulled up here.
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson. Another guy with pretty good size. Moves all right. I think we're starting to get a little bit further down the road. But he made a lot of nice plays. That entire Utah secondary was pretty loaded.
Yeah, and they're all like corners.
Yeah.
Even the safeties are corners.
I love that,
two
man.
different safeties this year who had been corners before, plus the corner that they have coming out. In addition to Marquise Blair came out last year as a safety. That Utah secondary apparently has been stacked over the last couple of seasons.
We have Jalen Johnson at number 26, allowed just 23 catches against Pac-12 competition on 52 targets last year. Another guy kind of got lost at the catch point a couple times, but he's always kind of in the hip of the receiver.
Yeah.
From what I saw, he didn't give up a ton of separation. Loses at the catch point. That was Marlon Humphrey in college. He at Alabama. He never really gave up separation. He'd lose at the catch point a little bit more often. But the tough thing is staying with receivers, and Johnson does a pretty good job there. Stays in phase.
Yeah, there's a lot of corners that are kind of like that. That's interesting. You see a lot of times some of these college corners that have all the coverage skills, but are just physically not necessarily capable of dealing with the top end NFL guys. And I think we've actually been pretty good at pinpointing those guys coming out. They tend to grade really well in college because you don't have that many Julio Joneses at the college level. And then you hit the NFL, and if they have to cover those guys, they get exposed. But if you're able to scheme, if you have the luxury of a personnel and scheme situation where you can keep them away from them, they end up being pretty good NFL players. So Troy Hill, I think, is proven to be that kind of player. Undersized corner, has all the coverage skills. If he ends up matched up with a Julio Jones, he's giving up, like 40, 50 pounds and 5-6 inches in height. He can't win. But if you have a Jalen Ramsey on the roster and you can keep him away from those guys and give him the number 2, his coverage skills shine and he shows he's a good player. I think Darryl Roberts from the Jets was a bit like that as well. He always had the coverage and the movement skills, but he's one of the sort of physically weakest cornerback prospects I can remember seeing. Like both in routes when things got physical and at the catch point, he just always lost. I think you see some of those guys sometimes, but like ultimately I prefer that thing than the reverse. Like I'd prefer a guy that can cover, even if you know he's going to get out-muscled, than a guy who can physically get physical with anybody, but actually can't cover that well.
Yeah, the thing about this list right now is I'm going through all of our top guys. I have purposely tried to avoid figuring out where the NFL hype is. I do feel like we've seen fewer I guess we can't really say that. We saw Terrell Edmonds go in the first round 2 years ago. There's probably fewer first rounders that are just like out of left field in our world from what we've seen, the more we've had this college data. But there was a phase where it seemed like every corner who was 6'1" with decent straight line speed was instantly a first round pick. And we were like, man, he's actually not that good. Stop just drafting size and speed guys, get guys that can cover. And we would always have those 5'10", 5'9" guys that cover, like you said, and they found a role in the league, and maybe they're not a number 1 or whatever it is. So, again, I don't know if I might be missing a big name here as we go through this because I'm not paying attention to what Mel is saying right now, what Daniel Jeremiah is saying. I don't know if they're a bad corner, so to speak, projected in the first round. I'm just going by this list of guys who all have pretty good size, movement skills, and grading for us.
Yeah, I also don't know that there are that many of those giant corners this year.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember, there was that one year where you just had me watching a sequence of 6'2", 210-pound corners.
Right, your job was to
all
scout.
Of them sucked.
You had to scout all the corners, and I'm putting this list together of the guys that the NFL's coveting in the first 3 rounds, and you're like, oh, they all look terrible.
They're all awful. There aren't that many of those guys. Just scanning the sort of top, 20, 30 players from other people's lists, they're not. It's not full of guys that are 6'2", 210.
One guy that is 6'2",
but not 210.
Not 210.
Very much not 210.
Cameron Dantzler from Mississippi State, extremely skinny. Is he listed at? What's he listed at?
185.
185.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks. He's very skinny. Can definitely put on some weight. But he's got. He had a nice little play against LSU down the field. He made some plays on the ball down the field. Reminded me a little bit of Kevin King from the Packers, who has that, he was 6'3", 190, and had that, high point, spectacular interception type of skills, which is a handful of plays a year, but Dantzler showed off some of those.
Yeah, and I think the thing that differentiates him from King is that even in college, King was this sort of, when he gets it right, it looks like Richard Sherman, and when he doesn't, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, the high stuff was really good, but there was too much bad stuff. Dantzler doesn't have that much bad.
You know what?
It's more, so the high stuff is kind of the same. It's like, yeah, he can high point the ball. He's got good ball skills.
Just didn't get whooped as much.
Right, but he didn't get beat as much as some of those other guys that have that same kind of skill set or same sort of look to them.
Ken, who's, our producer Ken, whose role seems to be telling us to get back on track and then comparing everything to Bengals.
Yes.
Tells us it's Dre Kirkpatrick, but even better.
Even better?
Better than Dre.
Yeah, but like even better. Like, Dre's not good.
Yeah, but better. Like that right. That's the expected, not the even, right? Yeah. Just better than Dre. I did put one other very important note for Cameron Dantzler. You know what he has in his arsenal?
No.
Yes, you do. We watched it.
Okay.
A German suplex.
Oh, yes.
Huge German suplex.
Well, not huge. I mean,
it was kind of slow developing.
Yeah.
I mean, big reason why we want him to add weight is so we can have a smoother German suplex. Took him forever to muscle the guy over.
Quicker. I mean, the thing is, you're not going to get time to execute that at the NFL level.
No. Then you're probably going to get kicked out of the game.
Right. There's going to be bodies.
Here it is right here. Look at this thing.
Yeah. Once
really
you got him up,
slow.
boom.
Linebacker spiked him.
See, here's the thing, right? If he had 20 extra pounds, he'd have got that done before 42 comes in
40.
Here.
That was a double team move. Now that I look at it, I didn't realize that 42 came in.
But he ruins it. If he had 20 pounds of extra muscle, he'd have been able to execute that thing before 42 arrived, and it would have been all him. It would have been a solo suplex.
Also, the receiver didn't sell it. He jumped right back up. So obviously the impact wasn't that good. So that'll do it for the guys we have in our top 32. Guys that we have, it's not necessarily first-round grades, but they're in the top 32. 33 and 34 on the big board. Jeff Gladney from TCU, and then Bryce Hall from Virginia, a guy that came into the season as a potential number one. He had an incredible 2018, led all of college football in forced incompletions, and he wasn't playing all that well in 2019 before that ankle injury ended the season. Anything on Gladney or Hall?
Hall is intriguing to me because he kept getting beaten and then getting interceptions on plays where he was beaten. Because the college quarterbacks are so bad.
Right.
Like, he'd be toasted by a guy and then the ball would be 5 yards underthrown, so we'd catch it. That'll help. But I'm really intrigued to see what he'll run, as a 40, because he kept letting guys just blow right past him. And yet every now and again he wouldn't. And it wasn't because he, physically disrupted them. It's just every now and again he'd turn and run with a guy in phase perfectly. And it's like, well, that guy wasn't noticeably slower than the other receivers that blew right past you. It wasn't that, the guys toasting you were top-level receivers from Alabama and LSU, and then suddenly you went up against a guy from, some crappy FCS team. Like, the strength of competition didn't seem to explain it. It's just every now and again he would show that, no, actually he's perfectly capable of doing that. Well, then why did he keep not doing it the other time? So I'm really intrigued to see if he runs like a particularly slow 40, and that is a serious concern, or if it's a technique thing that just needs to be cleaned up. Because outside of that, I think he can actually do a lot of good stuff. I think he's a really good zone corner, and I think he can play man. He can play press man at the line of scrimmage. It was the off coverage stuff that he struggled with, just letting guys eat into his cushion and blow right past him before he adjusted. But, when you consider that most teams in the NFL play zone coverage on most of their snaps, I think there's a real place for him to be a good player.
You think Hall could be a potential first rounder?
I would want to see what his 40 time is before I committed to that, because if he is just slow as hell. Do
you have an estimate on that too? Those are fun too when you just go in thinking this guy looks like he runs 4.5, plays like he runs 4.5, or whatever the number is, and you either see it or it's up or down, and you kind of adjust in your head.
I honestly just can't tell. I honestly can't tell if he has that speed or if it's just a technique issue that needs to be cleaned up. I suspect that he's not the fastest guy in the world. But if he can run a decent time and show that he is actually pretty pacey, I think he could be a really good zone corner at the next level.
How about AJ Terrell from Clemson? He got jinxed by Renner, essentially. Renner was in the middle of praising him in the middle of the national championship game.
Yeah.
Keep an eye, AJ Terrell, underrated player. And then he goes on to give up about 1,000 yards that night, starting in the second quarter, and absolutely owned by LSU. But, got torched.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Did you have thoughts on Gladney, TCU corner?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
He's another one that has all the speed and the movement skills, and is constantly in sticky coverage. He's got the absolute archetype in terms of he's going to be in the guy's hip pocket every single play.
Yeah, he's got, I have some thoughts, but we've got him. Another guy we said on the skinny side, should run well, allowed only 19 catches on 78 targets on 10 plus yards down the field.
I like him a lot.
So about 20%, 25%.
Yeah, I think
that's legit.
I think we can boost him up.
You want to move him up?
A little bit.
Yeah, so where would you move some of these Renner ranked guys?
Well,
because he did this initial draft board, and we're going through with
I
our
think Gladney
suggestions.
could move up. I think he's got some skills.
Do you like him that much higher than some of these other guys?
I like him better than Jalen Johnson, I think, and he's fifth. I haven't seen enough of C.J. Henderson because the video system kept crapping out on me.
Yeah, Jalen Johnson just didn't do anything spectacular. It was just, it's pretty good stuff all the way around. What I hate is watching a guy and not really having an opinion or a take. Is when there's nothing for me to say. I always say that was my Tyler Boyd problem. I just didn't have an opinion on Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
Did some good things,
well,
did some not so good things.
Today I got asked on the radio, what was my take for the NFL's new proposed playoff system. I don't care. Whatever. It's another game.
I really don't want them to add another regular season game. I think there's something to the consistency of the records.
That is my thing, right? I would not have a 17th game just so we keep the 16 game record system.
Yeah,
now I know they've done it in the past with 12 and blah blah blah, but
we've been
locked
locked
16 for a while.
We've been locked into 16 for a while. Completely agree.
So I'm with you there. On the other hand, the playoff thing, I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't have I just don't think it was broken either.
Agreed.
I don't
but equally, I don't care.
Like college football keeps evolving their system because people complain.
Yes.
You can't find a winner. They want more games because somebody got left out. Like, nobody was saying, what? I needed to see Duck Hodges in the playoffs this year. We need to expand this thing.
The only thing anybody has ever complained about is the idea that crappy teams make it.
Right, so let's add more.
Right, the team winning their division with 7 and 9 makes the playoffs every now and again. So to answer that, you've decided to add more of those teams that will make it through the wild card process. That part is weird to me. But ultimately, I don't give a crap.
Nice.
Whatever. The only thing I do like about it is that you're now rewarding the number 1 seed, not the top 2.
Yeah, you might get better regular season games, week 17, 18, week 18. You might be getting some better regular season games through the end as teams play for that number 1 seed and they don't sit on a number 2, seed because there's no more bye.
Yeah.
There's something to that. I like making the regular season matter more.
I also think it's a differentiator that's worth, at the moment there's no benefit to the number 1 seed over the 2. It's unless those 2 teams meet again.
Yeah, I think the benefit's going to be is what we just described, which is weeks 17 and 18 will be much more meaningful. There's way more teams in the playoff race because of that last spot. The playoff scenarios get crazier and crazier, and the battle for the number 1 seed is that much more intense.
But anyway, that was my comp to your player that I didn't have an opinion on. What is your take on the playoff proposal? Whatever.
Do you have a take on the new combine workouts?
I like the
smoke route,
the running 8 hoop thing.
Was that real? It felt like these were made up events that somebody was just putting us on.
No, I think that was real. What is the smoke route drill?
A smoke route is usually just the receiver turns at the line of scrimmage.
So this is all you're asked. Literally, what we're going to see is you standing over there, me as the quarterback here, throw it to you, you catch and run. That
I would say if that's all they're going to do.
Like you're not getting that from the gauntlet already?
If that's what you're going to do, that's a big waste of time. If you're going to at least let the receiver put a move on somebody, maybe that's okay. I don't know.
Move on somebody?
I don't know.
Like, you're not running smoke routes against anything except off
Well, you're not
coverage.
learning anything about the quarterback while they throw a smoke route. I mean, you'd have Deshaun Kaiser like overthrow it or something, but
I don't think you're learning
Luke
anything.
Falk would bounce it.
I've yet to hear a suggestion for the smoke route that learns anything about anybody.
You know how
By definition, it's a pretty easy free play that the NFL runs. So what are you practicing exactly?
I have a baseball analogy for you.
Oh, God.
There was I don't even need to use it.
Perfect.
Anyway,
Don't.
There were certain times when you talk to NFL people and you're like, man, there is so much nuance and just intricacy to
Yeah, smoke route's not one of those
everything that they do. I'm not, but like the amount of detail that they go into to game plan and to prepare and to teach and the technique and the level of detail they go to is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've also sat down with an NFL head coach who said, yeah, screens are the hardest passes for quarterbacks to throw. No, it's not. It's the easiest. Any way that you slice it. I mean, it's among the easiest.
Yeah.
Right? You just get this hyperbole that doesn't make any sense. Of course, it's not the easiest, but as far as like,
Well,
you have to turn and you throw the ball. There's different types of screens or whatever. And, yes, I understand his point, which is like, well, you can't throw it up here because he's got to catch and run, and you can't throw it down here. But the point is,
I don't even think screens are a good example of that, but there are definitely throws that look really easy that are actually deceptively a hell of a lot harder than they look.
like a 5-yard out isn't that easy because of the angles and all that stuff.
The one I think of the most is that sort of flare in the backfield.
Flare.
Where the running back sort of almost takes a step back and outside and then comes forward again, whilst the quarterback is trying to sort of lead him in as he's doing this loop round.
You see quarterbacks miss that all the time, and a lot of it could be because the running back just didn't get
just
to the line of
the
scrimmage.
coordination of those two guys in that sort of three-dimensional dance work is actually really complicated, but it doesn't look it. It's just, you missed him.
Yeah, right.
But that's because it's like he's looping around and back, like he's doing two different movements at the same time that guy's got to like trigonometry work out in his brain and put the ball where it's supposed to be. It's a lot harder than you think it is.
Yeah. I mean,
but the screen isn't one of those.
The screen's not one of them. My point, I think what gets lost with coaches sometimes is they're like, well, there's a lot of technique to it. I have to teach him how to suck in the rush and keep your eyes here and then do this and then do that. It's like, okay, there's a lot of stuff that goes into maybe throwing a screen and teaching points, but quarterbacks probably put it on target. I mean, they throw it catchable like 95% of the time, and they put it exactly where you want it about 80% of the time, so how hard could it be?
All right, so Ken has dropped some knowledge on us, and frankly, the only interesting part of this is apparently the smoke route is going to be timed from the quarterback's hand to the receiver's hand. So it's a quarterback drill, not a receiver drill.
So it's for velocity.
Right, it's because the radar gun sucked.
The radar gun was really stupid.
Surely you can cheat that by just running towards the quarterback.
By what?
Just running towards the quarterback.
The smoke?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
if you hop forward, you bought him a yard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We're going to police that? Yeah, back on the line.
You just turn. All you can do is turn because we're trying to get the snap to release. Now, I'd rather get snap to release than those stupid radar gun times. I've said this before, so it's spring training. You have both guns for both teams. They're gunning this thing.
What crappy speed did you clock in the radar gun that makes you hate these things so much?
It's because I would sit. You'd have...
Because Zach hated them as well, but that's because Zach had like a noodle.
He threw like 47 at the combine. I mean, I'd be mad too at the radar gun. I mean, look, I was a mid to high 80s guy for a while. I had to work hard to get into the 90s, which I finally did when I was like 23.
Huh.
Anyway, no, it was earlier. Anyway, because I sat there behind two radar guns, and then you'd have other scouts. You'd have like 7 radar guns. Like, what'd you get? 90. What'd you get? 92. I got 89. I got 93. You'd have radar guns on the same pitch, plus or minus 4 miles an hour. And one's a stalker, and one's what were the other ones? Can't remember the other one now for whatever. The stalker's the good one. And then you'd have this other. Yeah, the stalker was like the standard. Like if you were a scout without a stalker, like just go home.
Huh.
You had a stalker.
Okay.
Like when you left scout school, I'm pretty sure they gave you a stalker. I mean, that's what you get. That's the gun.
Right.
Right. And then the jugs. I mean, that was like, it's like a free-for-all. I hit 96 on the jugs before.
Well, they're too busy making throwing machines. They can't have radar at the same time.
Pretty sure it was jugs.
You can't diversify yourself like that.
But you'd have the jugs at 96, the stalkers at 89, and it's like, all right, great. So
It's like, would you buy yourself a Mitsubishi TV? Like, they make cars.
yeah, well, I would buy it because you throw harder on that one. And then Stalker like redid their brand one year, and I think we all lost 2 miles an hour. It was a disaster. Might have gone up the other. I don't even know. It was so actually they got a new
Bad
one.
year to be coming out in the draft that year.
It was a new one, and I started to actually throw it harder, and I was like, I don't know if it's the brand. Like, it's this new, maybe it's just reading faster. I don't know, but I'm like 89 to 93 now, and touching 94, 95. It was great.
There was a thing out on Twitter today that said, so in college basketball, there's like 3 different types of balls, right? There's Under Armour, Nike, and somebody else, Wilson.
Yeah.
And apparently there's like multiple teams that have noticed a statistically significant drop-off in shooting performance using Nike balls.
Really?
Yeah. So like Utah or somebody. There's people in the Mountain West or something.
That's probably the thin air.
Like they're actually, no, so the ball specific, because when they play somewhere else,
Oh, they're good?
they're fine. But if they use the Nike balls, they're like 5 percentage points worse shooting. So, and then they interviewed all these players, like they're basically just ragging on the ball.
Yeah, go with Under Armour.
Wilson.
Wilson has the best ball.
Well, that's the basketballs, right?
Yeah, anyway, the stupid radar guns. You have one guy that's straight on and one guy's at an angle, and they're getting 2 different readings, and they're sitting right next to each other. I imagine, so on a 3-throw sample that the NFL would use for the radar gun stuff that you guys see all over Twitter and wherever people are pushing it, it was 3 throws. Who knows where the angle is? Plus, it reads the ball out of your hand. But, you know, again, if the angle's off a little bit, it probably cost you 2 or 3 miles an hour, which is significant if you're an NFL player throwing either 55, 57, 60, or whatever it is, right?
Sure.
Just doesn't match and then it just doesn't match the eye test. Like, oh, Mahomes throws 55 and so does Kellen Moore. Does that make any sense? No, not at all. Now, Zach threw like 47, and man, that's embarrassing. That's why he's coaching now.
Yeah, and I kind of did match the eye test.
That did.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it matches up.
Right.
But that's the whole point. Broken clocks right twice a day, right? That whole deal.
Deshaun Watson's was terrible, right?
He was like in the 40s, too. Yeah. So.
But this is why, like, everyone, this constant idea of why don't you just put a chip in the ball? And then you'd solve all this. Like,
they're working on it.
Well, the technology is crappy. Like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
This idea of, well, you put a chip in the ball, then we'll know if it's a touchdown or not. You won't. The plus or minus in that thing is massive.
Yeah,
you won't have any idea.
It's like a yard.
Right. You have less of an idea now than you did at the time.
After review, he's out at the 10. What?
All the systems that work using that stuff, they use like Hawkeye stuff. There's like 17 different cameras, you know, precisely plotting everything. They don't use a chip in the ball. Like the UK, whatever the hell it is, the English Premier League. What do you guys call that thing?
EPL?
Soccer.
EPL.
There you go. It's all cameras. It's not chip in the ball.
This guy gets it. He says Wilson and Spalding are where it's at. Remember Spalding? Spalding's.
It's your contract.
My contract.
Still a chance.
Got a glove contract.
Yeah.
I really need to find that contract that said I'd win $2,500.
You really need to win the Cy Young, and then you'll get a nice little bonus.
I'm so close.
$2,500.
I wonder if I could transfer that bonus system over here to PFF. Like, what's the Cy Young equivalent at PFF? Probably win an MVP or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't win that.
No.
I'm off to a good start this year, though.
Yeah? Well,
Solid
it's not
start.
about the start of the year. It's about how you do in December.
Yeah, that's true. Like, most recent.
Right.
Neil works off of recency bias,
You
right?
gotta have a strong 4-week finish.
The key is when Neil's deciding on these awards is to have like a really good 2 days. Right before
I think
the
a bit
decision.
longer than that. You gotta have a couple of weeks, get it
A little build
in the
up?
brain. Yeah, and then.
But the crescendo needs to be right during voting time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how the real MVP works.
True.
Lamar Jackson, great week 12.
So give me a sleeper in the corners because I know
Amik.
you have a guy. There you go.
Amik Robertson,
Mm-hmm.
our highest coverage grade.
Now, hang
and
on. First of
he
all,
is out of Louisiana Tech.
yes. And how large is he?
He's listed at 5'9".
And
He plays way bigger than that.
I don't know that he does.
He was playing those monsters from Texas
Yeah.
and getting in their head.
Right. And what happened when he did that?
Yeah, so the one dude had to put all of his might into him to push him right off the line of scrimmage. He knocked him back and created a little separation for a little in, but Amik recovered right away and then somebody else forced the fumble.
Yeah.
But I like to play better when Amik.
So he's 5'9", 180-ish.
He plays way tougher than that.
On
He is
one play, he
feisty and intense.
surprised the guy at the line and jammed him. And then the very next play, the revenge was taken and he got jacked like 6 yards off the line.
I think what you didn't see, there was like a run play in the middle of it
Yeah.
where he like really jacked him up.
Well, okay. Well, he angered the guy and then he got boned.
He got in his head.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he gave up 7 yards. Big deal.
Wait, not so much giving up 7 yards as in your jam at the line of scrimmage, you went backwards.
It wasn't
7
a
yards.
jam. It was this dude did Colin Johnson, I think it was, or maybe the other big receiver that they had, everything he could, all of his might to push him off the line of scrimmage.
And it worked to the tune of like 7 yards.
Yeah, so what?
That's bad.
It's not bad. It's 7 yards. And he's in his head for later in the game.
If you're bigging him up for the physicality, when you go head to head with a guy and you lose to the tune of 7 yards, that's bad.
No.
What we discovered from
He's wearing him down. Body blows. This is body blows quarterback style from 5'9".
Play after play getting driven back 7 yards.
I love Amik.
Eventually, in the fourth quarter, it'll come good. Don't worry.
He only played 21 snaps in the slot, but had that really sweet near interception that we saw against Texas playing against the inside receiver in trips, and had the highest grade of any corner in this class in the slot, even on just the 21 snaps. But I think he's got slot type of skills as well.
What we discovered from our tape watching session is that you love feisty corners.
Yeah, I love
feisty is the word that you.
Yeah.
That's if you were looking for one thing. Like, what is the one thing we're looking for first in cornerback play? Feisty. That's what you'd be shooting for.
You need a guy that's competitive.
I don't
that's going to get up at the catch point.
I don't care how big he is.
Yeah.
I don't care how well he covers. I just want feistiness.
I want that in my receivers, too. I think there's a reason why Tyler Lockett, the Steve Smiths of the world, the Edelmans, the Welkers, I mean, there's certain guys who, we've talked about this before, looking at slot receivers. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of slot receivers who move well, no leverage.
Do you think the difference between them is feistiness?
I think it's a little aggressiveness at the catch point, like Steve Smith's attitude and intensity and all that stuff. Lockett's got that.
So the difference between Wes Welker and Daniel Braverman was feisty?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. That might have been some other things.
God, I can't wait to hear your job interview.
That's going to be good. I'm going to get feisty, guys.
You make sure
Should
feisty.
I go position?
Put that on your board.
Oh, we're going to be so aggressive.
Feisty. We're going to be feisty.
We're going to dictate the action.
We're not going to be aggressive. We're going to be feisty.
Next week at the live show, Tin Roof, Indianapolis, 7 to 9 p.m., Thursday night, February 27th.
Get to hear Steve.
I might have my job interview.
Have a job interview in front of an actual NFL person.
Is that a segment you might want to see? Is that something you might be interested in? There's a debate whether or not this is a good segment. I think it's fantastic.
I mean, it was funny enough when it was just you and me. Actually seeing you pitch it to someone who knows what they're doing should be freaking hilarious.
He's going to love it. Whoever the GM is, he or she. We'll see who it is, but they're gonna love my pitch. I think it's going to be great. Give me some hashtags, too. I need people to help me out with my hashtags. We need a couple, 4 or 5 really good hashtags that are going to sell my vision.
Steve's not interviewing for a specific team anymore, so we can't use, hashtag. I mean, I suppose you could use.
So the Jets was we're going to get better.
Right.
I can still use that.
You could still use how hard could it be, I guess.
How hard could it be?
It's just not specific to the AFC South anymore. But yeah, so he needs a generic hashtag that will be the linchpin of his vision.
Yeah. Yeah, we got this.
Yeah.
So it's going to be great. Next week, Tin Roof, check it out, Indianapolis. Hope you guys all stop by. We good on the, do you have any sleepers or anything else to add to the cornerback class? I'm still working through them, but that's all the top guys.
Yeah, I'm good with your feisty guy. There's 2 people I like for completely different reasons, right? One, A.J. Green from Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Albeit there's some warts on his tape, let's say.
Yeah.
He has been beaten pretty badly on occasion, but he's also made some really nice plays. So, let's hope we can swing the balance back in our direction and get him on the right path. And then the other guy, I don't even know what his second name is pronounced, but his first name is Javelin. So I'm all on board. I'm all on board with that. Not only is he Javelin, right? Do you know what his parents' name is?
No.
Javelin.
Oh.
He's Javelin the second.
Of course he is.
Mm-hmm.
Javelin.
Somebody named their kid Javelin, and then Javelin named his kid Javelin.
So you're all in on him?
All in. He's 5'9" and 193 from Utah.
Just kind of in.
Another guy from Utah.
Yeah, I mean the Utah guys they're legit. I've also thought Lamar Jackson, the corner from Nebraska, another huge long corner, got whooped at the Senior Bowl, but made some nice plays on tape. He's like, every time I see him, I change my opinion.
You say I'm out.
Yeah, that's not your guy.
No, I'm not in.
But he's got some really good length and a high, what was his fink percentage? I think it was good. Let me type it into my little profiler here.
There's some great names in this group, by the way. Stanford Samuels III.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fine.
We're already at the third there?
Yeah.
I don't have think percentage in this thing. Anyway, he made a lot of plays on the ball.
You call yourself IQ?
I just didn't update it, is what happened. I think. Yeah, I didn't update this one. So that'll do it. NFL draft, cornerback class. We'll continue to roll through the positions. For next week, programming notes. What are we going to do? Monday?
Monday, we will be podcasting from here in Cincinnati, as usual on Monday, albeit truncated. It will be a short podcast, short by our standards, like an hour.
Right.
You're not going to be going short of, actual listening. Be an hour of us talking.
But we have like a hard out, like 60 minutes. And
yeah, because we have to record them all on Monday, like all the different podcasts, and then we all have to haul ass to Indianapolis.
Right.
Then we're driving to Indianapolis, and then we think there will be a Thursday podcast.
We'll do our usual Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there will be bonus material surfacing from the live show that will come next week, and, we'll be doing the live show on Thursday.
Right.
So if you're actually there, come along to the live show.
Sounds like a lot of work. I'm in. I'm excited.
Cool.
It's going to be a great week. Combine week next week.
Hopefully this week this time I won't have to go home early.
Yeah, you did. We both did for different reasons.
Yeah.
Also, really quick, we're very excited to have our show on Spotify.
Yes.
It's all free.
Us and the Ringer.
If you haven't tried listening there, it's free to download. Use Spotify on any device. It's a great listening experience. You can go straight from listening to your favorite band, whoever it might be. It could be Third Eye Blind,
Could be.
Could be Third Eye Blind.
Sure.
If you're listening to your 90s tunes. And then you switch right over to our podcast on the same app, the PFF NFL Podcast, not show. So just search for the PFF NFL Podcast on Spotify to start listening for free. And remember, as I just said, it's totally free even if you're not a premium member.
Yeah. We need to rebrand to something I'll actually remember.
PFF NFL Podcast? That's tough to remember.
What was wrong with just the PFF Podcast? That was easy. I remembered that.
Because people, get a little SEO, Sam.
Yeah?
We'll give you a little SEO lesson here.
It can't be working that well when
you put NFL in there, more people find us.
Then how are we behind 2-for-1 drafts in the rankings?
Well, listen,
they've got like seven listeners.
Apple's algorithm is drunk, is the problem. Nobody knows the algorithm, and you know what? I wouldn't let anybody know the algorithm either because we have 20 times the listeners as they have.
That's what I'm saying.
And they're higher than us.
This is what I'm saying.
So shame on you, Apple, for your algorithm that put Austin and Mike in their podcast higher than us this week.
Yeah.
Nice algorithm, Apple. Credibility lost.
We can check the numbers. We know.
We know the numbers. We're literally 20 times bigger than them.
Yeah. Figuratively.
Yeah.
Well. Figuratively and literally.
We have a better podcast. Bigger podcast.
You're at least 20 times larger.
I do love those guys. Check out 2-for-1 drafts, though. They're rated higher than us on Apple's, stupid list. All right, guys.
Maybe we're ahead of them on
Good
Spotify.
week. Hit the music. We're out of here. See you guys Monday.